Don't speak loudly. Be the good girl. Don't say no. Don't make mistakes. This was a transcript I followed from the time I believed I was not enough. And it took me 30 years, a broken marriage, and my son leaving me to finally realize I was never not enough. I was just stuck in a wrong story. Mine began when I was 6, lined up in the classroom, waiting to be picked for a school show. And I still remember what happened then. I had clenched my uniform so tightly. The teacher, she scanned the group and then she looked past me. She started calling out names, but just not mine. In that moment, I didn't cry, I didn't move, I just stood there, frozen. That evening, I went home with a knot in my chest. I asked my mother to speak to the teacher. And I still remember what the teacher said. She doesn't look any part. She doesn't fit any role. That little girl didn't understand it then. But she started wondering, what's wrong with me? Was it my hair, my face, or the way I speak? That moment planted a lie. I am not enough. We all have our stories. Maybe for you, it wasn't in the classroom. Maybe it was a comment about your body, too fat, too thin, or comparison to a sibling, better than you, faster than you, or your opinion just dismissed in public, or someone you loved made you feel invisible. Those moments don't always seem big, but they chip away at your self-worth until finally something breaks inside you and you don't even know why. I spent a lifetime proving myself, proving I was worthy, I was capable, I was worthy of recognition, love, and even flowers. But no matter what I achieved, I still felt like that little girl, hands clenched tight, wanting to be seen. That's what not enoughness does. It makes you settle. It makes you shrink. It makes you chase. Because that becomes your survival strategy. I see this in my practice every day. Some can't even trace where it all began. Just a lingering feeling, I should do more. It shows up everywhere, in meeting rooms, in boardrooms, in friendships, in marriages. It shows up when you say, I'm fine, but you're not. The conversations you replay 100 times in your head just to check if you had said anything wrong. Or that text message that you rewrite over and over just to ensure you're not misunderstood. And sometimes you just stay silent in moments of pain. Those moments don't always look big, but they start to change your life. As I grew older, this feeling reinforced in many ways. I was a bright student, but very mischievous. So my teachers would say, a girl like her, she will not amount to anything. So the day I became a dentist, I wanted to send her a note. I proved you wrong. Because that degree, it was not a qualification. It was my declaration to the world. I am capable. But nothing tested it more than what followed next. I married a man who never loved me. And that relationship, it was toxic from the start. But I chose it. Why? Because I hadn't learned to love myself. That's what not enoughness does. It makes you settle. Not because you don't desire more, but because you believe you don't deserve it. He told me, you're lucky I married you. Girls like you don't deserve to be loved. But I stayed. I stayed because I was scared. Scared that people will say I am the bad one. They'll say I didn't try hard enough. Then one day, everything changed when I had my son. One night, as I held him in my hands and looked in the mirror, I asked, will he respect me if I don't respect myself? And that was the moment I decided to walk away. Not because I was brave, but because a voice in me finally whispered, you deserve better. One morning, I picked him up from kindergarten and went back to my parents' house. That decision was terrifying, but for the first time in years, I felt free. I've met so many women, smart, intelligent, beautiful, who stay in painful relationships, not because they are weak, but because they are afraid they won't be loved again. And that fear doesn't come from the truth. It comes from the wound that repeats itself until you choose to break the pattern. When I finally broke mine, I learned you don't get what you want, you attract what you believe. And when you start to love yourself, that's when things began to shift. My healing was slow. Eventually, I bloomed. I got another degree, stepped into leadership roles. I even traveled the world, met a man who loved me unconditionally. From the outside, everything looked perfect. But on the inside, I still felt nervous. When someone complimented me, I'd smile and wonder, did they really mean it? And then one day, reality hit me hard and my world collapsed. After all I had done as a single mother, my son, who was 13, then said to me, I'm leaving. I'm going to stay with dad. I begged him to stay. That night, I couldn't sleep. For days, I was inconsolable. Those were the darkest moments of my life, but the most honest ones, because it held a mirror to my face, to what I had been ignoring. You can build everything on the outside, but if the pain inside is unhealed, it always finds its way back. I started questioning everything. Where did I go wrong as a mother? What did I miss? The pain was so intense. That's when I took up to Reiki, just to cope, to survive. But in that stillness, I met a part of me that I had been avoiding for life. Through Reiki, access consciousness, and inner child work, I found parts of me that I had left behind. That little girl who stood frozen in the classroom. The woman who felt invisible in her own marriage. And this time, I held her with love and presence. It's been 10 years of deep work. I am not perfect, but I know who I am. And I can say without doubt, I'm not the same person who I once was. When I changed, so did my life. I married a man who loves me unconditionally, had my daughter at 43. I became the most radiant version of myself that I had not imagined. Confident, radiant, not surviving but thriving. And as I stand here right now, not as someone who's figured it all out, but someone who can finally say, I am enough. A doctor, a global leader, and winner of Mrs. India 2023. So if you're sitting here and doubting yourself, here's what I want you to take with you. The feeling of not enough isn't a flaw. It is your protection. Your nervous system, it remembers what it felt like to be ignored, rejected, or unseen. And it's trying to protect you from feeling that pain again. So it keeps you safe by shrinking you or pushing you to overachieve, overgive, or just stay silent in places that hurt. But this survival mechanism wasn't meant to run your life. The nervous system rewires with compassion. You don't need more discipline, you need more gentleness. It is not mindset hacks that work for me. It was when I learned to sit with the pain through breath, through energy work, through moments when someone just held space for me without fixing me. So, the next time the feeling of not enough shows up, don't rush. Pause. Ask it gently. What are you afraid of? What wound are you trying to fix? Remember, healing does not happen by silencing the pain, it happens by understanding it. And finally, your worth is not up for negotiation. Dream big, achieve more, but no matter what you do, your value stays intact. I spent my entire lifetime proving myself through pleasing, performing, perfecting, but it didn't work because no amount of validation can heal the pain that you haven't addressed. Only when I stopped chasing and finally started listening to the parts of me that hurt, that's when my life began to shift. Today I have big dreams, but my self-worth stays intact, irrespective of the results. So if I can achieve this space, so can you. And finally, if you forget everything I said today, just remember this. You were never not enough. You were just in the wrong story. And now it's time to write a new one. And as for me, that girl who once stood frozen in the classroom, I get to tell her finally, you were always enough. And now you are unstoppable. Thank you.